Hello, I'm Sudarshana Starshine Star, and I'm so happy that you're here with me today. It's a beautiful Monday. It is June 2nd, and it's 2025. If you're not listening to this on my YouTube channel, I have a YouTube channel called It's the Dazzling of the Light, or you can just type in at Sudarshana Starshine Star. I have now, which I can't believe, over 200 clips there on a variety of topics, and I think it's pretty fun and interesting. Why not check it out? And please remember to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Why not join my YouTube? Heart it, thumbs up it, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for doing that. I begin all of my clips with the 3 opening prayers, which are short. They're in Sanskrit and Telugu, and they're the Guru Mantra, the Ganesha Mantra, and the Gayatri Mantra. And I do this to bless, uplift, protect, and purify you, me, and this clip. Om, Om, Om. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshvaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam, Tasmahi Sri Guruve Namaha. Om Suklam Bharataram Vishnum Sishivarnam Chatubhujam Prasanavaranam Dhyaye Sarva Vignopashante. Om Bhurбhuva Suvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Wonderful. Well, I really have so many clips that I want to record and publish on my YouTube channel and my other social media for all of you. I'm really kind of have a backlog here because, as I'm sure most of you are aware, the news cycle is just ferocious. I mean, I can hardly, things I planned and I wanted to do, it's like I have to kind of put to the side because something else comes up. And I feel I always go by my inner guidance and my inner inspiration. So while my last clip that I put up, which was longer than usually the clips that I make, but I felt it really important to do a foundational audio clip on the tariffs, the situation that's happening with the, you wake up one morning, you're like, no, the tariffs are banned. You wake up the next day, oh, there's a stay on that ban. You wake up the next day, oh no, now a district court judge put another ban on this aspect. Oh no, now the Trump administration, they now undid that stay. I mean, it goes back and forth. So really, nobody really liked that. I see some views on it, but no one liked it, I guess, because it's a lot of legalese in there. I myself thought it was pretty interesting, and why I feel okay, even though nobody liked it, to put that up there is that it's very, I'm on a partially outdoor terrace, and a motorcycle just kind of went by, revving its engines a little bit. And whenever I do these recordings, I always pay attention to whatever happens. So I like that. Yes, thank you. I got a little confirmation from life. Let's rev the engines. It's okay. I'm putting stuff out there. My point is that when you are, or anyone is speaking, especially nowadays, it's really good to have some proofs to be able to back up if you're, debating something or engaging something. Of course, we all have our opinions and our point of views, and they don't all have to be the same. What a boring world that would be if they were all the same. I don't like that hive mind world. Or my saying that I like to say, even though I'm vegetarian, it's not, I don't believe in one cheeseburger and one blue jean for everyone. You can substitute different cuisine or clothing apparel for that example, however you like to make it fit. So anyway, I'm glad that I did that, even though nobody as of yet liked it, the tariff clip that I did. I think it really is important to look and see, okay, based on what grounds did President Trump put these tariffs out. What is the history of that, and what in the heck did one of the 700 district court judges that are not president, by the way, they don't have executive power, but they somehow are pretending that they do, and they believe that one small district court judge can stop a nationwide executive order from the commander-in-chief. I mean, that lawfare doesn't hold up, as we've seen. That's why you keep getting these flip-flops on so many things. And actually, as strenuously hardworking Trump's administration and President Trump have to be and are, I think they are naturally, and the extra strain this must have caused with this constant, President Trump can't put a half a step forward without someone trying to block him on this lawfare that's going on. I think I always like to find the kind of the gold in everything, because it does exist. You can say like the silver lining or the gold, whatever. There's always something good in everything that happens. You just have to look for it and have a perspective to see it. I think it's really good in that it's really uncovered a lot of corruption. Until then, I was not aware. First of all, I didn't know there were 700 district court judges in the United States of America. And even though I've been very much aware of the corruption that has infiltrated not only my country for a very long time, but the rest of the earth realm by the satanic elites and all of their minions. As of right now, I was just not aware that a district court judge would even have the stones to even try that. So it's been a great learning experience. Today, what I want to do is give, once again, kind of a foundation for what's been happening with Harvard. Yes, Harvard University. And also a bit of a key that no one's talking about. No one's, I guess will come out because we are in the disclosure times now. Things are just dropping left and right. It's been a steady drip for several years, but now it's really the time, right? It's exciting. It's exciting times to be alive. So I'm going to give that at the end of after I share this reading with you. I'm going to go to an issue that's really, really, really bedrock as to why Harvard is getting hammered right now. And as well as some other universities, you'll see them getting hammered as well. And I mean beyond Columbia, Columbia University in New York City, some other ones. Okay, so this came out actually last Thursday from Secretary Kristi Noem at Secretary Noem. So I'm going to read what she posted. Harvard's refusal to comply with SEVP oversight, and that's Student and Exchange Visitor Program, was the latest evidence that it disdains the American people and takes for granted U.S. taxpayer benefits. Following our letter to Harvard, the school attempted to claim it now wishes to comply with SEVP standards. We continue to reject Harvard's repeated pattern of endangering its students and spreading American hate. It must change its ways in order to participate in American programs. And that was a letter that was dated May 28th, 2025, from Homeland Security Investigation to Maureen Martin, Harvard University, care of Harvard International Office. And let's see. At 1350 Massachusetts Avenue, room 864, Cambridge, Massachusetts, 02138. Email is Maureen_Martin at harvard.edu. And this was on the letter that Secretary Kristi Noem sent to the president of Harvard. The title was Student and Exchange Visitor Program, Notice of Intent to Withdraw. And here's what it said. I'm not going to read you all of it. I skipped over kind of a chunk of it that was just repetitive, but here's what I want to share with you guys so you know. Notice. This notice advises your school of the Student and Exchange Visitor Program, SEVP, intent to withdraw your school's SEVP certification for failing to comply with the federal regulations detailed below. During a records review of Harvard University, compliance issues were identified that may result in the withdrawal of your school's certification and bar any further enrollment of education of non-immigrant students. The compliance issues, each sufficient by itself to warrant the withdrawal of certification identified in this case, include: number 1, failure to comply with reporting requirements under 8 CFR Code 214.3 in parentheses G and in parentheses 2. Failure to maintain a campus environment, and number 2, failure to maintain a campus environment free from violence and anti-Semitism. And number 3, practices with foreign entities raising national security concerns. Harvard University has 30 calendar days to respond to this notice. The response must include any sworn statements, documents, or other evidence on which the school relies to rebut the alleged grounds for withdrawal. This notice is not a means to submit information or evidence that should have been previously provided as a part of established reporting requirements. Rather, it provides an opportunity for your school to demonstrate compliance with all lawful requirements and overcome alleged deficiencies. Failure to respond to this notice within the time allotted will result in the withdrawal of your school's certification and will bar an appeal of that decision in accordance with Title and Code of Federal Regulations 8 CFR Code 214.4 in parentheses lowercase d. Now, because I'm skipping to this. On May 14th, 2025, Harvard University, through its counsel, provided a second response. Upon review, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, has determined that the May 14th, 2025 response was also insufficient. In review of the evidence provided, Harvard University has not sufficiently addressed the requested information as specifically outlined in the student records request sent to the school. Harvard University has failed to fully comply with reporting required per 8 CFR Code 214.3 in parentheses lowercase g, and therefore the school is subject to withdrawal of its FEVP certification 8 CFR Code 214.4 in parentheses lowercase a, parentheses 2, parentheses I dash in parentheses II. These legal codes are funny. Anyway, issue 2, failure to maintain a campus environment free from violence and anti-Semitism. On January 29, 2025, President Trump issued Executive Order 14188, which specifies that it will be the policy of the United States to combat anti-Semitism vigorously using all available and appropriate legal tools to prosecute, remove, or otherwise hold to account the perpetrators of unlawful anti-Semitic harassment and violence. Executive Order 14188 on January 29, 2025, under 8 CFR Code 214.4 lowercase a in parentheses lowercase 2. SEVP certification may be withdrawn if the school or school systems is determined to no longer be entitled to certification for any valid and substantive reason. Evidence obtained by DHS concerning Harvard University creates serious concerns that Harvard University has failed to maintain a campus environment free from violence and anti-Semitism. Evidence includes a joint government task force found that Harvard University has failed to confront pervasive race discrimination and anti-Semitic harassment plaguing the campus. Jewish students on campus were subject to pervasive insults, physical assault, and intimidation with no meaningful response from the Harvard University's leadership. A protester charged for his role in the assault of a Jewish student on campus was chosen by the Harvard Divinity School to be the class marshal for commencement. Harvard University's own 2025 internal study on anti-Semitism revealed that almost 60% of Jewish students reported experiencing discrimination, stereotyping, or negative bias on campus due to their views on current events. In one instance, a Jewish student speaks at a conference In one instance, a Jewish student speaker at a conference had planned to tell the story of his Holocaust survivor grandfather finding refuge in Israel. Organizers told the student the story was not tasteful and laughed at him when he expressed his confusion. They said the story would have justified oppression. Meanwhile, pro-Hamas student groups that promoted anti-Semitism after the October 7th attacks remained recognized and funded. The above evidence creates concerns that Harvard University has failed to maintain a campus environment free from violence and anti-Semitism. The failure to protect Jewish students is a valid and substantive reason for withdrawing Harvard University's SEVP certification to enroll foreign students. See 8 CFR code 214.4, lowercase a in parentheses, number 2 in parentheses. That's the code. Anyway, issues. Harvard University's practices with foreign entities raise national security concerns. Listener, I'm talking to you. In a quick review, I'm saying Harvard University has been certified to enroll non-immigrant students for over 70 years. On April 16th, 2025, Department of Homeland Security, DHS, issued Harvard University a student records request seeking data about students involved in criminal activity, threatening behavior, protests, or other violent or disruptive acts on campus, whether on or off campus, and whether any students left the university due to such activities. On April 30th, 2025, Harvard University, through its counsel, responded, but the university failed to directly address the specific questions in the request. On May 7, 2025, the acting DHS General Counsel notified Harvard University that its initial response was incomplete. DHS provided Harvard another opportunity to provide a complete response. On May 14, 2025, Harvard University submitted an additional supplemental response specifically to address relevant information regarding student visa holders, known illegal activity, known dangerous or violent activity, known threats to other students or university personnel, and known deprivation of rights of other classmates or university personnel. In response, Harvard University identified one F1 student as having engaged in conduct responsive to DHS's request. However, this response was insufficient. So back to issue 3. Harvard University's practices with foreign entities raise national security concerns. Evidence obtained by DHS creates serious concerns that Harvard University has coordinated with the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, and other foreign entities adverse to national security. Evidence includes Harvard University received $151 million from foreign governments since January 2020, making up more than 13% of the total $1.1 billion received from foreign donors over the same period. And I'm interrupting this to say, and listener, this is, of course, if you didn't know, Harvard has a $52 billion endowment. They have no reason to be getting taxpayer monies. Taxpayer monies, people paying that can't afford to send their own children to these, quote, elite universities, but they're expected to pay for other people to do so. Meanwhile, Harvard is holding not only a $52 billion endowment, they're hiding all these monies they get from the CCP or other foreign entities. Yeah, it's time for a big cleanup there. So let me go back to this. Harvard University hosted and trained members of the, excuse my pronunciation, Xinjiang, which is Xinjiang, and I'm going to interrupt this again to say that province is well known for the camps they have holding the Uyghurs, and the foulness of that is, I'm going to speak to that in a little bit. I try not to have too much emotions about it because it's really so horrible. But let me go back to this reading. Harvard University hosted and trained members of the Xinjiang Production and Construct Corps, which is the XPCC, a CCP paramilitary group complicit in the Uyghur genocide, even after its 2020 designation on the U.S. Treasury's specially designated nationals list, with engagements continuing as recently as 2024. Harvard University researchers collaborated with Chinese-based academics on projects funded by an Iranian government agent and partnered with Chinese universities tied to military advancements, including aerospace and optics research, using U.S. Department of Defense funds. Harvard University partnered with individuals linked to China's defense industrial base, including conducting robotics research with military applications. The above evidence creates serious concerns that Harvard University has coordinated with the CCP and other foreign adversaries. This coordination is a valid and substantive reason for withdrawing Harvard University's SEVP certification to enroll foreign students. See 8 CFR Code 214.4, lowercase a in parentheses, lowercase 2. Note, providing materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent information may subject you to criminal prosecution under 18 U.S. Code 1001. Other possible criminal and civil violations may be applicable. So, yes, I want to talk about something related to the Uyghurs, and then the key that I'm saying that's underneath even the CCP involvement and indoctrination and training and everything alongside Harvard. But let me first read, this was also on Thursday, May 29th, the right underneath Secretary Kristi Noem's post that she put on X about that I began this reading with. So Doge AI on X says, and that's just a person that's calling themselves Doge AI on X. Harvard's SEVP certification 1055 is a long overdue reckoning. Excuse me, I read my own writing incorrectly. Harvard's SEVP certification loss is a long overdue reckoning. DHS exposed their failure to report violent foreign students' protest or to protect Jewish peers from assault and sever CCP paramilitary ties, all while pocketing $151 million from hostile regimes. This isn't just bureaucratic noncompliance, it's systemic rot. Universities hoarding foreign cash and enabling anti-Semitism should not enjoy taxpayer-funded privileges. When elite institutions prioritize globalist donors over American safety, pulling their certification isn't punitive, it's basic accountability. And then Doge AI says, let this be a warning. U.S. visas aren't bargaining chips for schools cozy with adversaries. Mag 1775 on X says, well said, Secretary Noem. Harvard's been riding the taxpayer gravy train while pushing anti-American garbage and dodging oversight. That ends now. You want U.S. benefits? Start acting like you're on America's side. No compliance, no cash. America comes first. Hear, hear, I say. And then the scoop on X said, Harvard had decades, and decades is in all caps, Harvard had decades to comply but chose CCP collaboration over American values. Too little, too late. Secretary Noem is finally holding this woke cesspool accountable for harboring anti-Semites and CCP-funded radicals. Trump's America puts patriots first. Tara on X says, do a deep scan. They have a lot of radical professors there. They were even running CIA courses through there, training people how to take over countries. Dig deeply, start arresting. LD Basler on X says, thank you for attempting to put an end to this nonsensical ridiculousness being utilized by these, quote, higher learning, end quote, institutions. No Privacy on X wrote, the foreign influence in academia needs to end. These colleges are openly supporting terrorist organizations. Excuse me, I probably shouldn't say that. TERRORIST activities. Karen Musteller on X said, all elite universities in this country need to support our Constitution and Bill of Rights and teach this in the classrooms. Any and all universities throughout our great nation currently teaching anti-American, anti-Western values, ways of life, need to have every U.S. taxpayer dime and support of any kind jerked. We, the people, are done with George Soros's open society, multicultural, and socialist dictates. Done. Soros is, she says is, I say was, I know Soros is a goner, but Soros is a wealthy Terrorist, and the Dems and rhinos in Congress have seemingly bought into his ideas, hook, line, and sinker. Then Droaspis, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Dendroaspis on X said, absolutely. Harvard isn't a university anymore. It's a laundering machine for elitist arrogance, foreign influence, and anti-American rot. They thought that they were untouchable, above oversight, and entitled to taxpayer cash while spitting on the country that funds them. Christie's right. Cut them off until they remember who they're supposed to serve. Voter for This on X says, Harvard's arrogance is catching up with them. No more taxpayer handouts to schools that promote anti-American poison and defy federal oversight. Anonburger on X says, Harvard is a model for communism and must be removed like a CANCER from our land. The leadership are treasonous traitors and should be treated as such. Jail them all. Border Closed on X said, why do private universities receive taxpayers' money? Exactly so. Remember that $52 billion endowment. So, yes, so at first it seems extreme. And people say, why is President Trump hammering on Harvard? People have asked that with all the things that keep coming. Like now they're down to, no federal funding, $3 billion in grants President Trump wants to give to trade schools instead, no ability to enroll foreign students. And I want to underscore, in case it wasn't plain and clear enough, Harvard was collaborating with the CCP. Now, the CCP is not we the people of China, for the most part. I do not advocate. I am for we the people of this earth realm. And I know that we the people of this earth realm, across this earth realm, have had the satanic boot of control of these corrupted, foul, homicidal, pedophile, pedivore, really deluded, insane beings for a very long time. This is the great cleanup that's necessary, that's happening right now. And I have I'll just share this. I'm not going to give the name, but at the very least, I have an uncle who went to Harvard and is a, super genius brain and always proud of all of his degrees from Harvard. And, it's not like, I don't think Harvard was always like this. I think that they have now done a horseshoe turn and they need to be corrected and stopped. So if they want to do their own monkey business and treasonous activities, number one, it's not going to be supported by we the people of the United States. And number two, treason is a capital offense. Now, if you noticed when this was all coming out a little bit ago, what Harvard kept posting, whether it was on social media posts or, representatives of Harvard were talking about, I never saw them saying things like, oh no, you can't cut this for our poor students. The bulk of our students, you can't do that. They were mainly what they kept saying, and this is my key that I want to also share and stress here. They kept saying, what about our research? What about our research? What about our research? That is the biggest clue. And that leads into what I'm saying that's not being talked about here, and it will come out. Jeffrey Epstein was not his own boss. He was a very valuable liaison agent of multiple intelligence agencies and multiple satanic elite branches involving several of their nefarious activities and deeds, and one of them being what they love to do in LABS. Yes, the bio, WEAPONS, that they love to develop. And many nefarious projects going on in those LABS that are labeled under research. Like that's like a, the sacred cow, like, don't touch our research. Yeah, we know what a lot of your research is about. And Jeffrey Epstein was seriously and heavily connected to Harvard University. And you can look into that for yourself. That's going to be coming out. So this is more than valid reason, on top of everything else that I've just read. And I want to underscore a point here too, though. Do you know that Arabs and the true Hebrews, not the fake JEWSs, which, as I've talked about a lot on my YouTube channel, you can go look up the Controller series or the Real, the fake JEWSs, who are Khazaria Mafia. They pose as JEWSs, and there's a history of that, which is lengthy. I'm not going to go into that again. Once again, I refer you to other clips on my YouTube channel, or you can also look into that to yourself, by yourself, not using Wikipedia or Google because those are corrupted, using a Bing Brave browser, and they're going into other independent sites, and there's a lot of information, even with all the censorship that's going on. There's a lot of information that you can gather for yourself, and I highly encourage that. Really, everything I do is inspired to, I'm wanting to kind of spark up people's desire and interest to look into things for themselves, not just watching their flat screens or leaning on mainstream media periodicals or live streaming or whatever, because those are all owned by the same satanic elites that I call the controllers, that have been in charge of this great oppression and filth that has infiltrated everything in these dark times that have been going on for thousands of years. So it's just ridiculous. It's like if there was I'm just going to use this example. If there was someone who was a serial unaliver. I have to use that word here, unaliving, a serial unaliver. And let's say, that you knew that, but you prop this person up as like a reputable person and pay them a lot of money to go lecturing around America and the earth, giving these incredible lectures about the value of life and the value of human life. Meanwhile, this person is really a serial unaliver. That's the ridiculousness of this. That's the ridiculousness of trying to look at what is really fake news and is really, truly propaganda. Just MK Ultraing. MK Ultra is a term that comes from the German, and when I say German, I mean NAZI programs that came out of, I believe they were going on even before Project Paperclip, which were the bulk of all the NAZI who were supposedly on trial on the Nuremberg trials, but really only a few of them received justice, a handful. And the bulk of them were highly paid, invited, welcomed, and supported to come infiltrate into the United States, into NASA, Werner von Braun for that thread there, into universities, into medical schools, into politics, and they were given, homes and for their families and everything else. They're treated very well. Look up Project Paperclip. You can find it. There's a lot of information about that. And so part of this mechanism of controlling humans is MK Ultra, which means mind control, KONTROLLE. That's what the K is for, control. Yeah, we've been brainwashed. We've been MK Ultra'd. So much. Anyway, so what I'm going to say is look into Jeffrey Epstein's links to Harvard. President Trump knows about this. President Trump's administration knows about this. They know the foundational rot that is there, and the treasonous and also crimes against humanity that's there. So none of this is capricious or just being unfair to Harvard University. This is all really necessary in my point of view, as well as at Columbia and as well as at several other universities. They need to be cleaned up and corrected, or just not allowed to operate anymore. Because we the people, we've had enough of this, and we're not going to allow this anymore. So to end this, I want to say, talking about the Uyghurs, what my point is, I want to make another small point before that. The term anti-Semitic, the real Hebrews, as I was about to say before I sidetracked myself, the real Hebrews, not the fake JEWSs that worship Satan, that are called Khazarian Mafia or Zionists, but the real Hebrews that do not follow the satanic Talmud that comes from Babylonia, but are goodly and godly, and they just do their best and are linked to the original Israelites that received the covenant from Mother, Father, God. Those Hebrews and Arabs are cousins. So when you say Semitic, it's not just talking about Hebrews, it's also talking about Arabs. And I don't think a lot of people are recognizing that. Anti-Semitism doesn't just mean talking about what people say it means about JEWSs. It also includes Arabs in that. And really, if you know President Trump, truly, not in the false light way he's been presented by the satanic elites and all of their millions and millions and armies of, minions, he is for we the people. And that means of the earth realm. He says America first, but he knows that America is an idea. And if the idea of America, that type of freedom and that type of sovereign recognition that each human being is a divine spark of Mother, Father, God and has natural sovereignty and freedom, is crushed and wiped out. That's it for the earth realm. And he knows that. So when he says America first, and I'm going to end this here, even though I say it so much, this topic here, MAGA, M-A-G-A, doesn't just stand for Make America Great Again. Because no one with a true heart and a true brilliance inside of them would just believe that it's okay, like make America great again and forget about everyone else. That's so short-sighted, and it's also stupid. MAGA also stands for Mother, Father, God, in terms of M stands for magnetism, which is Mother Divine. So the MAG stands for magnetism, and the A at the end stands for Alpha, which is Father God consciousness. So MAGA is magnetism plus the Alpha Father God consciousness, and so it's very much, this is all very much underneath the plan of the divine. It's all divinely ordained, and this has all been predicted and prophesied about the end times. These great cleanup times for millennia and millennia. And if you don't know that, you can look into that for yourself. I want to say, I was thinking about this. I wrote up this report actually yesterday, but I had just such a full day that I couldn't record it then. Do you know, it's really, I have to just put this out there. I spoke about it, and I can't remember which clip under the Controllers or the Real Wheel series on my YouTube channel, but I've seen many, 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 many things. Things that I can't show. There's a lot of information out there, but it doesn't mean that it's advisable to show that, because it can be so horrendous, so hideous, and really, you can't really show that, can't really publish that. But a lot of people that want to clean up this corruption, a lot of whistleblower testimony, there's so much coming out. Yes, a lot of it comes out of the dark web. They publish it, and then people put it out there. They want people to see the proofs, real analog photos, real black and white documentaries that were made. And the evils always record everything they do. The evils always record, photograph, whether it's their own activities, whether they're just blackmailing other people, because they also blackmail themselves. This is a foul. Do you think the devil pot is like fair and just? It isn't. They're all fighting and scrabbling amongst themselves for power, prestige, everything else. And they also blackmail themselves, all these different factions. And the joke's on them, because the dark force that is Satan, or if you want to call the fallen angel Lucifer, that is not interested in anyone or anything else being higher than Satan or Lucifer. So it's the biggest joke when the devil promises you all these, name, fame, glory, and delivers on that, but then says, I'll take you with me and you'll rise with me and with my power into my dark kingdom. Whoever's following that will never get that. They will always be kneecapped. They will never be allowed to that, which is the opposite of God's kingdom, of the way, the truth, and the light. Because Mother, Father, God wants us, divine sparks, divine children, to merge with our true parents and to hold those qualities and abilities, not to be shut out from them. So it's exactly the opposite of the devil kingdom. So what I'm talking about, something that I saw a while ago, but I see so many things, and I have to, because I do deep independent research. I stopped counting after 70,000 hours of deep independent research into the who, what, when, where, why, and how of what runs this world, what has been running it. So I don't like to see certain things, but I have to, because I have to check it out. I saw something that was a while ago, and it's hard to kind of knock me down, but I got knocked down for about 4 days. I was like out of commission because this struck me so hard. It was there are several hubs that are, I keep diverting myself, but there's huge underground world underneath our feet with domes, deep underground military bases and underground cities that have been built, not just in modern times. These underground places are very, very ancient. Like the most ancient ones have been found under South Africa and under Australia. But just take the United States, for example. There's a whole network of underground cities, underground tunnels linking them, even going underneath the ocean floor, the mag trains, the magnetic resonance trains that elevate. They run on magnetism and they go super, super fast, getting these evil elites like from New York to London in like 30 minutes. They go very fast. There's the maglev train connected all underneath with the tunnels and the underground cities and the domes, everything that's there. I refer you to Gene Decode if you want to look into that more for yourself. That's pretty much one of the great sources of resource. He's a ex-Navy. He was a high-level placed submarine commander for a long time. He has like a genius brain, a lot of information. Gene Decode. Just look that up and you'll find out a lot more about the DUMS, the maglev trains, the underground cities in specificity, like giving their actual altitude and longitude and giving points exactly where you can find them in the US. And he also does great decodes, has done on Australia and other parts of the world. So I saw this clip that was, my point in saying this is that Israel is not what most people believe it is. You need to know how Israel was truly founded through the Balfour Agreement, the reason why it was truly founded, the big fakery about the whole thing, and the purpose for its existence, the big lie about that, and who's really been controlling it. But Israel is has been one of the main hubs for not only human trafficking, but child sex trafficking, and a lot of stuff that goes on there involving BLOOD. So I saw this clip that just, like I said, it broke me down for about 4 days. I just couldn't believe. I mean, it was just like the straw that broke the camel's back for me because of this child's innocence. But it showed an underground. It was like a basement, but it had 2 windows that were up high, but they were, not street level. You can see something like that if you're like walking on the street and you're peering down into some partial basement windows. It was very high ceilinged, and it was like a lab environment. But it showed 2 what would look like Orthodox Hasidic JEWSs, all in their accoutrement, with the payas, the curls by the ears, and their hats that they wear, and all in black that they wear with their white shirts. I'm sure you've seen an Orthodox Hasidic JEW before. Those are really Khazarian mafia. What they do in privacy, how they worship Satan in their own homes and in their own secret temples and underground in their own places. I've seen so many things related to that. So don't say to me, oh, that's just opinion. It's not. And it involves a lot of BLOOD. Yes, it does. So there were 2 men that were these dressed, that were, these two of these Khazarian mafia men, and they were walking, someone was filming behind them. Were walking into this area that I just told you about, and they were holding the hands, not gripping this young child in a bad way, but holding his hands as if they were leading him to a picnic, and that's like what was breaking my heart. They had his little hands. It was this little boy who was somewhere between 2 and 3 years of age. He was speaking, I don't know what language it was. I don't know what type of Arabic it was or what it was, but he was speaking in another language that sounded, Arabic, but he was crying so hard. And for sure he was calling for his mother, but he was like almost babbling, because when they walked him into this area that I'm going to describe to you, it was this large area that just had a lot of those stainless steel, like embalming tables. And what you saw, which I never could imagine seeing in my life, were, I could guesstimate it was at least 40 corpses of young, I could say they were youngish, they were in excellent condition, they had great muscle tone, they were all without clothing, and they were strewn, some were draped vertically across some of these tables, so like there'd be like 3 or 4 like draped across there. They were also stacked kind of on the floor, just stacked up. But what they all had, which I've never seen before, was from the right where their navel was to almost to like where their clavicles of their bodies was just scooped out. It was like just a big empty space. It was just that cavity was all scooped out. So there was about 40 of these all in there, along with these tables, and there were a couple of other of these Khazarian mafia, which I have seen in other films. They do this work of the, they're eviscerating people, adults, teenagers, children. They're eviscerating them, a complete disembowelment, while the humans are alive, because it can't be done. The purpose that they're doing it for the ORGAN harvesting and sale of those ORGAN, that has to be done while the human is alive. So this is done without anesthetic of any kind. This is used to be known from the Dark Ages as one of the most vicious tortures and punishments. Was like when someone would be drawn and quartered. This would first happen, and then they'd be tied to a couple of wild horses and pulled apart after they were eviscerated while they were alive. So this is not rare, what I'm talking about. It's really not rare, and that's what's heartbreaking. But they were leading this small little boy holding by his 2 hands, and he was just crying out, and he was just talking like almost nonsensically. Like I said, I could imagine he was just saying, please bring me back to my mother, and like, please help me, whatever. And they weren't being rough with him, but they were walking him through, and the baby was looking and seeing all these, what I described to you. And they brought him to the back part of this room, against the back left wall, where there was one stainless steel embalming table that was flush against the wall there. And this is what broke my heart, because as they put him on the table on his back, and they were looking down on him, that's when he stopped crying and talking. He kind of gentled down. Like, I'm sure he was thinking it was something like, when you change a baby's diaper, and they're used to that. They're on their back, the adults are over them. They're going to change their diaper or something. And he just like gentled down at that. And then what's heartbreaking is when you see, no matter what, the little kids trust in adults, the way they trustfully put their little hand in the big adult's hand, or they're trusting, like the adults are putting them on the table, and he's like trusting them, and he's gentling down. So then one of the Khazarian mafia, while the baby was gentling down like this, he took what looked like, I can only describe it as, if you've ever painted in your house and you buy those trays that hold paint, where they have like a deep well in them toward the bottom to hold the paint, and then they kind of on the diagonal go up a little bit. They kind of shallow up with like a raised edges, so you can take your paint roller, you can dip it in the well and then roll it back and forth and get the excess paint off. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, like painter's trays. That's what it looked like. It looked like a stainless steel painter tray, something like that. But he put it underneath the baby, underneath this little boy, and he put it down to like where you would say the tailbone was, and then it covered the back of his body. And that was obviously to catch the liquid from the evisceration. As you know what would happen when you go to remove the organs of a human. And once again, just totally without any anesthetic, nothing, just alive, lay him down and then do it. Luckily, the film cut at that point, and I would not have watched the rest of it. But just seeing that baby's trust and how his unalivers were, what they were doing to him, and he was like trusting them, even though he was surrounded by 40 of these bodies that I described in that atmosphere. So that hasn't been one of the only main hubs, but it's a huge one for that. And why I'm linking it to is this is what in that Xinjiang province that I mentioned in the reading that was connected in the Harvard notice that Secretary Kristi Noem sent out. That's very well known to be where they have the camps where they're keeping these Uyghurs. They're keeping these people that they use because they're very healthy, because of their religious faith and what they practice. They eat a very clean diet, cleaner than the average mainland Chinese person. And so they're very healthy. And they're being used, they were forcibly all brought in, and they were blood typed, and they had all their all these statistics about them checked, and they were forced to do that and keep them on file at the hospital. And it's very handy, like when whoever calls in with all the money to get some kind of a ORGAN transplant or something, they can just call in, and then they look at the type, like, oh yeah, we know where that person is, and then they just go pick them up and bring them in for this kind of lovely experience that I just described without anesthetic. Many years ago, I didn't even know what was going on when I would see this on the streets. When you see these signs that there were, I didn't know they were Chinese. I just saw there were Asian people that were holding up things about the Falun Gong and holding up these big posters that looked too gory. Like this was many, many, many years ago. I did not know what that was about, and I didn't want to go look at it. It was like, I don't like to watch horror movies. I don't like to watch gory things. And when I saw that on the street, like if I was about to go shopping or something, and this was many, many years ago, I would see them gathered and I just wouldn't even look at it. Like I was like, what in the heck is that? I don't even want to look at those things. I didn't know it was about this. I didn't know it was about the Uyghurs and stuff. So that is the definition of foulness and criminality. And there's so much that needs to be exposed. I know it's very, very heavy. There's so much good going on, though. But I have to put things out that are true and that people can say and can refer to or look into for themselves and get the documents, get the whistleblower testimonies, get the unclassified documents off of .gov sites, read the books, look at the analog photos, not digital. Look at the analog photos that you can see of so many things, because like I said, the satanic evils and their minions, they take pictures, they film, they record, they jot down, they do it all the time. They're very anal in that aspect. All right. I really say this heartfully. I'm going to end this clip with the closing prayer like I always do, which is in Sanskrit and Telugu. And what I'm saying is, God bless all beings in all worlds, because I pray for all souls in all worlds, all souls that have ever been created or will be created. I pray for all of them that they have the desire and the urge to repent and get a chance at redemption, because I believe in that. I have no faith and belief at all in an everlasting hell punishment realm for all of eternity. I always believe that if a soul has a true desire and repents and realize its error and where it went astray, and then asks Mother, Father, God for a chance at redemption, that doesn't mean that there won't be a lot of karmas to be paid off. And it could take, depending on the each individual soul's characteristics and actions, reactions, and everything that happened. It could take, millions of years. I don't know. I'm not in charge of that, and I don't know. But I know that it is possible, and I pray for that every morning and every night. So this prayer says, God bless all beings in all worlds. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes, peace, peace, peace. God bless you and yours. I'm sending much love and big hugs to you and yours. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate you doing that. Really want to share this news, get this out there. I'll see you when I see you, and bye-bye for now.